Hey, welcome back to my studio. I know it's been so long since I've done a bit more of a chatty video and I was struggling with ideas of what to film. So I put out on my Instagram, let me know if you've got a question and I'll do like a little Q&A answering all the questions that you guys have. So I thought I'd just sit and film and go through all the questions. So let's go through them. Love Baby John said, can you do a tutorial of one of your beautiful Magnolia Nature Charms collection, please? I would love to do a Magnolia tutorial. I feel like I'm always so inspired by Magnolia. Definitely. In fact, it is on my list of tutorials to film, so perhaps I'll move that one up a little bit to film it sooner. Someone says, how to make our art piece look authentic? It's a great question. I'm not really 100% sure that I'm understanding it fully, because if we kind of want something to look authentic, really it's making sure that it is authentic. So authentic is not about what something looks like. Authenticity is what's inside, or like the motivation. So I would say that for a piece of art to look authentic, it has to be authentic. To me, what my description of that would be is made from the heart, made with passion, made with love, and also great care. Not something that's just thrown together, but something that's had a lot of care and like planning over it. And also that comes out from a place of like true creative voice, not something that's been copied or like heavily inspired from somebody else, something that feels really true to you. And Tammy says, florals or landscapes? Oh, I can never answer that one. I think it has to be florals. And I know I'm saying that surrounded by landscapes, but florals is always that thing that just gets me. And when I see a floral painting I love, it like takes my breath away. And I think I probably only get that really with floral paintings. Seagold429 says, best way to correct a mistake, and is there a mistake that can't be corrected? Great questions. Ooh, you really get me thinking with this one. The best way to correct a mistake is probably changing how we view mistakes actually first, because to me, mistakes are not really actually mistakes. Mistakes are just like a part of the process, and you just have to like keep discovering and digging into the painting to kind of make parts of it that you really love. So if you're making a mistake, I would generally say that there's been a lack of preparation with like the values and the composition and the drawing. So yeah, I would say really to focus in on the foundational skills that will help you change the mistake. Actually, I do have a process inside my online course, Learn to Paint with Confidence, that helps you go through to figure out if there's a mistake with your painting, what the mistake is, and then how to remedy it. Because sometimes it's trying to figure out what even the mistake is that can be the hardest part. So we do cover that in my online course. It isn't just like a quick hack, but it is a system. If there's anyone out there that is interested in kind of learning that system, I'll pop a link to like a taster session of my online course so you can kind of see what it's about and what's involved, because it is quite a different perspective on it. And is there a mistake that can't be corrected? I mean, I would say yes, and that's probably composition. And composition is arguably the most important thing about a painting, because once you've kind of got your objects down on a painting, you can add the details, you can add different colors, but if the composition is wrong, then that can't really be changed unless you start again. So yeah, I would say composition. What inspired you to pursue this medium of painting and the difference watercolor? I guess you're asking like what made me choose acrylics or oils over watercolor, because I've played with a lot of different materials. For me, watercolor doesn't quite get the energy. It's very calming to look at, and for me, I like a bit of like kick, a little bit of edge, a bit of like spiciness in a painting. And for me, like oils really capture that. You can be so like energetic with your brush and like scrape it on, scrape it off, use all the different tools and techniques, and with acrylics as well. So that's why I love those over watercolor. For me, watercolor, it's nice, but it just doesn't like pack a punch the same for me. So how to effectively sell your artworks? Any tips for beginners? Great question. I think there'll be a lot of people that are also wondering this. Yeah, I think we live in such a digital age now where it has become easier than ever to sell your artwork. Really, it's about keeping it really simple, approaching it like a business, because being an artist and selling your art are two completely different things, and we need to make sure that we don't get that mixed up. Selling your artwork is a business, and it requires you to really kind of put on that entrepreneurial hat and think like, how do we get this piece of art visible? How do we get it seen? So I would say the number one tip is visibility. So it doesn't matter what method you choose, whether that's like art fairs or going down a gallery route or doing it on your own on social media. Visibility and getting people to see your artwork is the first step. Then the second step is entwined with that is really creating an emotional connection for people. So that might be through storytelling and what the piece of art is about and why it's important to you, and maybe trying to interweave their story into the piece as well, and why it's important for them. And then the third step, really, the selling bit, is the easiest bit because that's just a transaction. It's just making it accessible on an Etsy page, or you can use PayPal. So really, it's the main bit is finding people that are drawn to your artwork and creating that emotional connection. So that is my major tip. And that rings true for beginners and people who are professional artists. It's the same. And Melanie says, when painting, do you imagine a source of light to paint the values? Really great question. Actually, generally, I don't imagine anything. A lot of what I paint and what I do is taken from references, and it might not be like an exact replica of the reference, but I will say, for example, this used 4 different references for this painting. One of the references was just looking at light. So I just had like a mountain painting and saw where the light was coming from, where the light was bouncing off, and that sort of thing. So yeah, I would definitely recommend not really imagining, but just using references. When we imagine, that's when things can start to go a bit wonky. How do you dispose of waste from oil painting? Generally, I don't actually get a lot of waste from oil painting. Most of the time, there's like a mucky turpentine bit at the bottom of my mixing tin. And generally, I love that because you can use that to ground a painting. You can use that as like the first layer of oil painting just to take that white away, or you can mix it into colors. It's just like a sludgy color. And so I actually use that, so I don't really have a lot of waste. If I don't want to keep it, then I will just get a paper towel, kind of like grab it in the paper towel and then throw that away in a bin. Do you have any tips for painting big meadows, like lots of grass and foliage? I do actually. I do have a big tip for that. One of the big mistakes I see when it comes to like meadows, and especially like meadows full of flowers, is the same perspective throughout the whole meadow. So when we want to create distance, you want like a close-up, like maybe that's where you have like bits of grasses and flowers. But then as you go further back, the flowers, the grasses either need to be smaller, or I would prefer things to kind of be more of like an impression of. So it might just be captured by a little brush stroke, rather than painting the same shape and the same size throughout the whole meadow. Because what that does is it instantly loses the depth. And I see that quite a lot, and I used to do that as well in the beginning. So what I would recommend with things like that is really focusing in on a reference and trying to convey sections of it, rather than thinking this is a meadow, this is grass, and just painting on grass. Really considering, how do I make the impression of that little tiny shape or that little section of meadow, and how do I put that across in 1 or 2 brush strokes even. So yeah, that would be my biggest tip for that. Do you put varnish or gloss to the final painting? It depends on the painting. A lot of my oil paintings, I really love like the matte texture, but it depends. Usually if someone purchases the painting, I'll always ask them what they prefer, because that is such a huge difference to have gloss or matte, and it really affects the person's experience of the painting. So I usually check with the person who's buying it. Jasmine said, what inspired you to become an artist? What inspired me to become an artist was seeing other artists online really pursuing their passion. And that inspired me because it kind of brought up this deep desire that I had, and I kind of buried it for such a long time. And it kind of just made me really realize how much I cared about art. And that just led me down a path to really pursuing it. And I couldn't paint at the time. My paintings were really amateur. I had very small little skills, but I'm a very stubborn person. And like, if I see someone else doing something, I'm like, there must be a way, like I need to learn it. Yeah, it might be a really long road. It might be really difficult, but I'm really willing to put in the time and energy and practice. And so that's what I did, which leads into the next question. How long did it take for you to make art that you liked once you focused on composition, value, etc.? Yeah, so once I started focusing on the 5 core skills, that is drawing, composition, color, value, and technique. I did them out of order then. And then once I really honed in on those 5 core skills and hyper focused on one at a time, that's when I saw the most dramatic improvement. And I'm talking probably like a month, or not even that, to be honest, like within 2 weeks, when I'd focused in on just one skill, I saw such a massive improvement in my artwork. And that's the beauty of this system and this process, is that you don't even have to focus on all of them to see a huge impact. Even if you just take one of those skills and hyper focus in it, it will then make such a difference to your artwork. So when you do all of them, it just catapults it incredibly, that you won't even recognize the art that you're making. And you'll be like, whoa, did I really make that? And that's the beauty of this 5 skills core system. So yeah, again, if you want to learn more about that system and how it works and how it helps you improve your art, I'll pop a link in the description to like a little taster session so you can see what that really is about, because I won't go too much into that now. What kind of canvases do you usually use? I usually just buy store-bought ones, and I usually like to make sure they're triple primed and a good quality. And would you teach us how to paint clouds? I would love to. I will definitely pop that on my list of things to make. I do already have a cloud painting tutorial, so I'll pop the link to that in the description box too, and hope you enjoy it. It's like a sunset version of clouds. And yeah, for now, that is all the questions, and I don't want to go on too long, so I just want to thank you so much for like chilling out with me today and just chatting about art. And it's just nice to have a little catch up. And I've got so many videos planned. I know that I've not been ever so regular with videos, and I do deeply apologize for that. It's not because I don't want to. I want to with so much of me. It's just energy, time, and now I'm a mum. It's very difficult to stretch myself across all the things that need to be done. But yeah, I'm gonna make it a priority going forward. So let me know in the comments what kind of videos that you would like to see, and I'll add them to my list. Thanks guys, have a beautiful day. Bye.